Hello, and thank you for joining our session, Coping with Change and Loss. Our presenter today is Kamara Tayo-Jones. She holds a Master's of Social Work degree and a Bachelor of Arts and Science degree in psychology. She is a registered social worker with the Manitoba College of Social Workers and has worked in health and social services for over 22 years. Kamara has been an instructor for the University of Manitoba and provides mental health services and regional health programs. And in her current role, she supports clients to manage chronic diseases, promote healthy behavioral change, and improve healthy living. Thank you very much, and welcome to the session with Kamara Tayo-Jones.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for your interest. Some housekeeping here. If you do have questions, go ahead and type them in and we will get to them as quickly as we can. If you'd like to wait until the end, there will be a Q&A session at the end as well. So either way, whichever way works for you. When we talk about stress and change and coping with change, they all go together. And so when you hear the word stress, think about change, think about coping, because that's how it's going to be presented today. Our objectives today to just take a look at how it can affect your body, what are the different kinds of causes, and take a look at the lifestyle changes that you can make. Maybe, my hope for you is today you will leave with at least one thing that you can take with you and try and find success there. So stress is an emotional response. There's good stress, there's bad stress. So when you think about good stress, think about, moving, going on vacation, having a baby. And then there's the bad stress, multiple changes, too many changes all at once. What about continuous changes, right? When you just get used to one, there's another one for you to have to deal with, and it can just be too much. And so we all have different ways to deal with stress. The way we think about it will affect how we deal with it. So it's important to be able to understand stress and understand how we respond to it so that we can respond the way we want to versus reacting to it. There's environmental stress. Think about the last time you walked past a car exhaust and you smelt that, right? And that had an effect on you. What about physical stress? Having to deal with an illness, life changes, home changes, home environment changes, right? The stress that you go through when you retire or change a job. Think about how you feel when your sense of control, your sense of independence changes, right? That's a stressful event to us as well. What about emotional distress, like anxiety, depression, confusion, and of course, there's grief, right? Loss of control, loss of abilities, loss of routine, change in your routine. And a lot of people grieve for their past life. They grieve for the things that they used to do, the way they used to do it. And so those are all causes of stress in our lives. And how does stress affect our body? Well, if you take a look at this left side here, you'll see a list of different ways that our body can respond to stress. When our body is under stress, it releases a substance called cortisol. And that cortisol is really good to help us act in the moment, right? So what happens when that cortisol is released over a long period of time? Then it has detrimental effects to our body and our brains. And that's when you start feeling exhausted, you start having physical symptoms, high blood pressure, high blood sugar. Maybe you're having some mental health symptoms, right? Your depression, anxiety, difficulty organizing yourself. A lot of people complain about difficulty making decisions and feeling frustration because they're so indecisive. And of course, there's the denial as well. Um, it's important to remember that unresolved stress can aggravate existing illnesses, right? And so we need to be able to cope with it and deal with it so that we're not adding to our burden if we're living with chronic illness. So I don't want to focus too much on this here, but this is just a good way to take a look. If any of these are in your life, if you're relying on these to help you cope, these are not very helpful coping strategies because you're relying on either a substance to support you, to help balance your body, your mind, or you're not able to process the information, not able to deal with it, so you're shoving it aside. Sometimes people will rely on that negative thinking. Nothing good is ever going to happen to me again. It's over. What's the point? It's hopeless. This is worthless. I'm so disappointed in myself. I could have done so much. And that can really bring you down. It really just adds to the stress. So these are the things that we want to avoid doing. If you see anything on this list here that is in your life, you need to get help with that. Either speak to your doctor, speak to a social worker, a therapist, speak to a loved one and see what you can do to get help with that. So when we think about coping strategies, we think about what we can do to adjust to our new life, right? We want to get a good quality of life, right? And sometimes we have to give that up. If you're dragging an oxygen tank around, a lot of people say that's a ball and chain. If you have lost mobility and you have to get in, you have to use a wheelchair or a walker, now you have to start thinking about where you can actually go and how safe it is for you to go on your own. And for some people, it's about getting a ride. I have to get a ride everywhere because I can't drive anymore, or I lost the my license. And so when we think about coping, we think about adjusting, getting our quality of life, getting comfortable, being able to live our best life despite whatever challenges we have to live with, and finding a way to improve our self worth, improve our self identity, our self confidence. So, learn about your health condition. Whatever it is that you're dealing with, get the right information from the right sources. Now, I know we all know about Dr. Google. The problem about Dr. Google is that you get the extremes. You get the really good stories, really bad information. And for most of us, coping and living with a chronic disease means you're living in that gray area where there's a little good, a little bad, and a lot of in between. So make sure that the source of your information is accurate. You're getting it from healthcare professionals, you're getting it from people with lived experience who can give you the right information. Um, we're going to go through all of these here more so in the rest of the slides. This is just a snapshot of what is to come. When you see avoiding predictable stressful situations, we're going to talk about more about that, about boundaries, etc. So moving on, think about nutrition. Think about how you sleep. So many times we forget about sleeping, right? If you're physically feeling fine but emotionally exhausted, you still need to sleep, right? If you're experiencing fatigue as a result of your condition or stress related to anything, you need more rest to help your body be able to recover, and fix all the damage that's happened during the day so that you can wake up as fresh as possible. Exercise. I know we hear about exercise and nutrition and sleep, but they really do go together, right? Because if your sleep is managed, you're going to have a little bit more energy in the day and you can exercise according to your abilities. And sometimes that means going for a walk, and sometimes that means going for a run. Sometimes that means pushing the lawnmower, and sometimes it means lifting weight. But you need to be able to move as best as possible. Sometimes it means stretching, right? And so think about how you can manage all the information you learn to help you build a better lifestyle. So we talked about boundaries briefly. When we talk about boundaries here, it's about separating you, your time, your energy, your space, so that you can protect it. No one else is going to protect it for you. So if there is a predictably stressful situation, you can cut it out. Just don't engage. And if it's family or work and you have no choice but to engage, that's where boundaries become really important. So what would that look like? So for example, a lot of my clients will say, after a long week of work by Friday, I'm done. I'm toast. I go home and I'm a vegetable. I'm on the bed. I can't do anything. I don't want to do anything. But my niece, she's having a barbecue tomorrow. And I sort of want to go, but I know if I go, I'm going to be so exhausted. I won't be able to go to work on Monday. And so, what do you do? And I said, well, you can choose not to go. You can also choose to go early and help her set up a little bit. That way you're there, you're participating, you still have that emotional connection, and then you leave before it gets too busy for you. Or you can go and leave early, right? And then the next day after that, you do nothing. You rest, you recover, you take care of yourself, and you take it easy so that you're functioning, that you're recovering, that you're able to go back to work on Monday and manage. And that's what I mean by boundaries. Take a look at how you use your time, your energy, your space, and make sure that it's fitting with what you want for your life. Changing the way that you think. So oftentimes, you will hear people say, gosh, this is just too hard. I can't do it. I can't deal with this. I don't want to do with this anymore. And I'll say, think about it differently. Think about the last time you had a difficult moment in your life. How did you come through that? What did you do? Who did you rely on? What did you rely on? What did you do differently to help yourself succeed? And if there is that, then you can say, I've done similar things before, and I know this is hard, but I've done many hard things in my life, and I can do this too, and I have help. So find out what motivates you. Remember it for when you need it most. We all know that when you're living with a chronic illness, there are good days, there are bad days, and there are days that you just don't even want to remember existed. And it's hard sometimes to function and to want to do things when you're exhausted. So if you are exhausted, take time to recover, take time to rest, take time to take care of you. And if you're feeling like you're not sure what you can do, set some goals. And we'll talk more about that later. Get motivated. What is it you want to accomplish? And how can you do that? And we can talk about ways to plan.
Kamara, sorry,
Hmm.
I have a question.
Go
Someone wanted
ahead.
to know, how do you explain this to your employer if you're still working? What are the things that you can explain to them that you need this rest, or can you be more flexible? Because sometimes you might need to take a nap, right? And then you feel
Right.
refreshed. So how would you go about doing that?
Okay. So I would rely on support. Often, what we did for our clients is we would draft some information on whatever the disease is and provide that to the client to provide to their employer, or direct them to a provincial or federal Canada-wide website that they can go to for more information. I myself have met with employers who want to know what they can do and how to understand it better so they can keep this person employed with them because they value that person's role in their business. So if you have support from organizations that have that information available about your illness, your disability, then absolutely get that information and provide it to your employer. If that is not available to you, talk to your healthcare professionals who are involved with whatever specific health issue you have. Get the information from them. Usually, they have those documents for themselves, and you just need to ask for it. I know we had our templates that we would just print off and send off. Otherwise, you can get information from them, collect it yourself, and present that to your employer. That will definitely help them because remember, what you know about the disease or the disability that you have, you learned along the way since your diagnosis. The employer may have no information on that and no experience with that. So whatever you give them will be very useful.
Kamara, can I ask you, someone also wanted to know, how, can they, like, if they can't work anymore, how can they apply for disability? Because they know that other people with other various conditions have had a very difficult time in qualifying for disability support if they can't work.
Okay. Yes, great question. Benefits, absolutely great question. If you are connected to a social worker, it is our job to be able to help you connect with financial resources. If you don't have a social worker, find your nearest community social worker, either through your healthcare organization or a community-based organization, and they can help you with that. Crash course, I mean, I can do an entire session on disability benefits. Here's a 1 minute elevator crash course on it. Um, You have your provincial benefits, which is social welfare, social assistance, that you can apply for as a program of last resort. You have your CPP disability benefits. It's a federal benefit. So if you are self-employed and pay CPP, or you work and pay your CPP, then you can apply for that. They have very strict criteria. Three criteria. First, you have to have paid into the program. Second is that your diagnosis must be prolonged or terminal. And third, your symptoms must be severe enough to prevent you from any and all work. What that means is if you're a truck driver and you can't work anymore as a truck driver, they're going to ask you, well, can you work as a receptionist? Can you answer the phone? And so any and all work that you can't do. Their application is now available online. They ask you a series of questions. Those questions they ask you about the symptoms, be explicit. They need to know how your disability affects you every single day and why it's not a good idea for you to go back to work. And so that means talking about things like fatigue. I think they only asked two questions, maybe one question about fatigue. Talk about the impact of fatigue. When you are tired, what happens to you, right? Because people will say, when I'm tired, I can't think straight. I can't move. I fumble. I mumble. I stumble over my words. I have bowel and bladder accidents when I'm tired. My body just shuts down. I can't go to work like this. And so you need to be explicit. The more information you give the medical adjudicators, the CPP, the more information they have to be able to understand the impact of your illness on your quality of life and why it's a good idea for you not to go back to work. Um, Apart from that, from CPP disability, you can apply for long-term disability through your employer. That case is a little different from CPP because it's about you not being able to do the job that you're hired to do, right? And so if your doctor doesn't think it's in your best interest to go back to work, your doctor is responsible for filling out those forms. There will be forms for you to fill out as well. It's not to be taken lightly. And I know that there are people who may try and abuse the system and get on to benefits before they're actually eligible. Think about your quality of life and if working is adding to your quality of life or taking away from your quality of life. And the example I gave you by, when you say Friday you're exhausted and you spend the weekend resting and recovering that you can go back to work on Monday, that's a good indication that you need to cut back your hours at work so that you can have a good balance of quality in life. Any other questions, Sharon?
Nope, that's it for now. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Moving along. All right, so support. Why is it so important for us to connect with our support? When you spend time with other people, you stay busy. You're talking about your feelings, you're getting support, you're hearing about other people's feelings and other people's troubles as well. And sometimes when things are really hard for us, we get so stuck in our minds about how we're struggling that we forget that other people are struggling too, and we can suffer together or suffer in silence. But I'd say suffer together is a lot more fun. We might even be able to help somebody else. It's really good to just sit down and have a conversation with someone. And I know with COVID, there have been a lot of online forums on social media platforms to be able to connect with people. And what I've heard from our clients is that that has been very helpful so that they don't have to go at a certain time and day. They can go in and read the comments and get that support when they need it and give that support as well when they're able to. If you're not working and you're feeling like you need to add something to your life and you can't go back to work, volunteering is a fantastic way to connect with other people, a fantastic way to add to your self-worth and build a good positive self-identity because you're giving your time according to what you need. So you can go and volunteer at the museum, at the zoo, at the nursing home, at a daycare center, wherever you need to go to and volunteer. Usually there are databases online for each province or city that you can find volunteer opportunities. And the good thing about it is that you're the boss. So you get to decide when you volunteer and when you don't. So if you're having a bad day, you're just not available. And for some people, it means that they're volunteering once a week for 3 hours and that's it. So if that's something that's important to you, think about that and how it can help add to your life. Aha. So this is where we talk about how do we organize and manage our time. When our clients say to us, I think I'm motivated, but I'm not sure, or I want to try something, I don't know how to do it. And a lot of people say, I tried to do something and I failed and I don't want to do that again. So the first thing I'll say is failure is a path to success. Take the failure and embrace it. Don't run from it. Embrace it, study it, understand it, because that's how you're going to understand what went wrong, right? Start with a good plan. You can look online for this acronym, SMART goals, specific. Make sure your goal is specific. Do you know what it is that you want to do? Measurable. Do you understand how you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? So if someone says, well, I want to walk every day on my lunch hour for 15 minutes. How do you know it's measurable? Well, you're doing it 5 days a week, 15 minutes, or 7 days a week, 15 minutes. That way, you know if you're reaching your goal or not. Is it achievable? All right. So, if somebody says, well, I'm in a wheelchair and I want to climb a mountain, is that actually achievable? You know, is there a different way that you can climb that mountain? What kind of supports do you need? So think about what you want to do and find out if it's actually within your grasp, if it's something that you can do, right? Realistic. Is this goal for you? So I'll have people say, I want to lose weight because my spouse told me I'm getting thick and I want to lose weight for them. Well, I'd say, is that really realistic? Maybe you want to do this for you, not for someone else, right? If you said to me, my granddaughter loves that I paint and I haven't been able to paint since I got sick, I'd say, okay, that's a little more realistic because you're willing to do this for someone else for the right reasons. And then timely. Make sure that you have a loose, flexible timeline. That's very important. When we have these fixed, rigid timelines, we tend to feel like we're failing because we're not able to meet the timeline. But remember, if you're living with a chronic disease, you're going to have days that are really bad. And when you have a flexible timeline, it allows for days that you have to have rest or you have to go to doctor's appointments and you can't do what you were planning to do. And so have a timeline that is flexible, that allows you the opportunity to change as needed. So hopefully that helps. And if you need more information, because I rushed through it really quickly, go online and Google SMART goals, right? Take a look at it and see how that can help you. So we talk about changing the way. Oh, Sharon, do you have questions?
No, someone just reminded me that last week during our webinar, A Patient's Journey with Oxygen, he had shared that he had wanted to go disco dancing, but disco dancing only took place at 11 o'clock at night on the cruise that he was. So he and his wife try to figure out how do they take a nap in the afternoon, have an early dinner, and take another nap, and then get woken up and then go disco dancing. And so he did that. And so he said that was a way to achieve his goal. So I thought what you just said and what this other patient had reminded me, it made so much sense.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sharon. That's a great adage there. That's exactly what it means about putting boundaries in place and figuring out what you need to do and setting that goal and finding a way to do it in a meaningful way. Absolutely. And if you absolutely can't go, you can always just order a disco ball and put it up in your in your room and turn off the lights and blast music and just have a go at it, right? And once COVID is all over, we can have all our friends over for a disco party at our house, right?
Yeah.
All right. So healthy lifestyles, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I talked about it briefly before. Exercise regularly, get enough sleep, eat healthy, drink a lot of water, meditate, be with people who can give you what you need, the people who fill your lives, not the ones that take away from you, the ones that give to you and the ones that you can give to willingly, right? If we fill our lives with those that take from us, and don't put back into us, then we end up being empty, right? And we end up being depleted and not having what we need for when we need it. So think about who you spend your time with as well. Sharon?
So, Kamara, someone wanted to say that because of the medications that they take, sometimes they're not able to eat all the things that they need to eat
Mhm,
just because it doesn't make them feel very good.
mhm.
And so they're
Yeah.
not sure how do they go about to try to, still maintain a a healthy lifestyle?
Yes. So this is where a dietitian becomes really helpful. A dietitian can take a look at your diet, your nutrition needs, take a look at your lifestyle, the medication, and come up with a plan with you to help you be able to meet your needs. It's kind of hard to do it on your own because you don't have the knowledge that we all don't have that knowledge about nutrition, right? We know the basics because of how we're trained, but a dietitian is the best person to reach out to find that. So you can either connect with that through your regional health authority or pay for that privately. You can go to the Dietitians of Canada website for more information. All right, moving along. So now we're going to talk about the role of self care. And the first thing that a lot of people say to me when we talk about self care is, well, I feel like I'm being selfish. And I'll say there's a difference. If I said, well, there's the last cookie and I'm going to have it. Okay, maybe that's a little selfish. If I said, I'm going to take care of me and the rest of you can go sleep, right? That's clearly being selfish versus I need to slow down. I need to do something for me. I need to separate my time so that I have time to do the things that I want to do when I need to do them, when I want to do them, and I can still be available for everyone else because I take care of myself. I'm better and I give my best version of me to everyone when I take care of myself. And so that's what we're going to go into. These happy hormones, that's exactly what we're talking about. These happy hormones here are great to combat cortisol, the stress hormone, right? And so there are ways that you can make these hormones for yourself without taking medication, without taking illicit drugs, right? And we'll go through that.
Kamara, sorry, someone wanted to know. Um, they know that their family support person that supports them, um, they feel guilty that they're not taking care of themselves, and but the other person feels guilty by not being there. So, how do we negate that?
First is to have that open communication. Often we think something that may not be accurate based on what we see. Have an open conversation with that person about what's going on. What you think they're doing may not actually be what they're doing, right? And some people say, well, you're always busy, you're always here, you're always working. And when they're not, you don't know what they're doing, do you? Do you know if they're meditating or if they're going to the gym or going for a walk with a friend? You're not sure. So have a conversation, find out what is going on there, right? And then from there you can decide what has to happen next. And if you know that person does need to take they do need to take time for themselves, then you can help them with that and say, how about we change up our schedule? How about we do something different? How about I step back a bit to give you the space and time you need to make decisions for you, right? But it starts with communication.
Thank you.
Serotonin, being outdoors, sunshine, meditation. Think about this as a way for you to invest time in meeting your needs, right? It's intentional and it will boost this feel good hormone as it will boost all the others, right? What do you do when it's minus 45? I'm in Manitoba, right? Minus 45 is a reality. There was a year where we had, I forget, it was like 19 days straight of below 20, minus 25 weather. You can't go out. Children can't have outdoor recess. What do? Sit by the window, right? If you have a newer home, a newer building, you know that window is going to have that low E argon coating. If you sit by the window long enough in that sunshine, you're going to get some sunshine. If you can manage it, bundle up and go outside and stand at the front step or wherever the sun is and stay there for as long as you can tolerate it. If you can't do that, you can get a UV lamp, right? That's there to give you that UV that you need during the winter to help boost that mood. Exercise, right? Exercising doesn't have to be hard, but it does have to be fun. And you can find ways to make it fun. So if you're just doing stretching, let's say that you can't move because it'll increase your breathlessness. So you have to sit and stretch and work on your deep breathing and stretching. Absolutely, that becomes exercise because you're moving your body. So do what you need to do here on this list to increase that serotonin and pay attention to how you feel afterwards, because that feeling, you want to remember it. So the next time that you're feeling like you need something, you're going to go, I need that feeling and I know what to do. Dopamine, right? Foods rich in protein. Does that mean meat? Well, if you're a vegetarian, it does not mean meat. It just means foods rich in protein can give you a boost of dopamine. Think about the last time that you checked off something on your list and how good that felt. Think about the last time that you celebrated with someone or by yourself and how good that felt. Think about the last time you did something for yourself and it felt so good afterwards that you're like, yeah, that's dopamine. And that's something you want in your life. And you need to remember how to do that. So when things aren't going right, you can rely on those activities to help you feel good, to help you feel better. Um, Rewarding personal activities, that's really important to helping you feel that balance between work and life. So plan for it. Ensure that you can make time for it to avoid what we often do, which is postpone or reschedule, right? So make time for it, plan for it, put it in your schedule. If you're one of those people that you have to be super, super scheduled, put it in. There is time for it with a reminder. That way you're not going to say, oh, I forgot, I'm not going to do it today. No, you make time for it. And here's something else too. If you make time for self care the way you do for your doctor's appointments, right? And you don't, when somebody says, oh, can you come over at this time? No, I have a doctor's appointment. It can also be, no, I am busy. You don't have to tell anybody what you're doing, but it is, I'm busy, I have to go for yoga. I'm busy, I have a massage. I'm busy, I plan to do some meditation or some journaling at that time. You don't have to explain it, you just have to say, I'm busy, because you're investing in yourself. Oxytocin. So, yes, it's very addictive. Yes, it's a drug. Yes, you can get it, but you can also make it naturally, which is probably why it's so addictive, because it feels good, right? When was the last time you got a hug from someone, even if it's a fur baby? When was the last time you got that hug, right? Remember how it feels? How it felt, right? So I read somewhere 7 seconds of a hug to make you feel good, 20 seconds to really do some good, to really erase some of those negativities that you experience. With my kids, we hug it out and they'll say, can I have a 20-second hug this time, not a 7-second hug, right? So you go and get your hug. Go dancing, do what you need to do on this list and others that make you feel really, really good, and keep doing that. That has to be a part of your life. This is the love hormone, by the way, right? So it increases with hugging, cuddling, feel good activities. Think about the relationships that you have that are strong with trust, strong with empathy, that you have a good connection with someone, right? That's the love hormone. That's oxytocin. You feel good when you see that person, right? Take time to recognize when somebody does something well and let them know it. You'll see the change in their face when you say thank you, and it's not just an empty thank you. We say thank you all the time. It's our Canadian pleasantries, right? But what about when you say something specific like, thank you for remembering to bring this for me today. I really appreciate it. This is going to really help me because, and you give them that explanation, and they're going to go, oh, wow. You'll see the change on their face, and it'll make you feel so much better that you've connected with someone. Endorphins, of course, exercise, right? Jumping rope, laughter, comedy. All right, so it's minus 45. You've sat by the window for half an hour, and you're like, okay, what do I do now? I don't want to go outside. So that's where you can listen to radio, and if they have a comedy show on, or you go on to whatever media platforms you have and watch comedy. Here's the thing about comedy. It's usually mindless. It doesn't require a lot of thinking. You remember the laugh. You probably won't remember the joke, right? But you'll remember the laugh. And when was the last time you laughed so hard you cried, right? And I'll have people say, I laughed so hard I started to wheeze and then I was coughing and I actually got sick over a laugh. And I was like, well, if you're going to get sick, that might be the way to go because you're laughing all the way. So think about that. What can you do to help yourself feel happy, feel refreshed, feel relieved? And of course, like it says, dark chocolate. So for all you chocoholics out there, go get you some dark chocolate. I just don't know how much you would need to eat for it to boost your endorphins. So I'm not endorsing any binge eating for dark chocolate. Um, Meditation. We're going to get into meditation pretty soon, actually. So just think about all of these that we've talked about today. See what you can add in your life to help improve your self care. Sleep, I just want to reiterate again how important sleep is. It's connected to attention, reasoning skills. It helps us process information, be more flexible in our thinking. It helps us problem solve, helps us make good decisions. So when we control our thinking, we're more likely to respond instead of reacting to situations. And this helps us to achieve our goals by resisting temptation for food, smoking, drinking behavior, right? And we can control our emotions that way. So, how do you improve sleep if sleep is an issue for you? There's lots of information out there. Look up sleep hygiene or sleep etiquette. Get a sleep routine that can help you get ready for bed, right? You want a sleep routine that has a series of activities to help you feel calm, relaxed, and ready to sleep. A bath, reading a book, a head massage, heat pad, listening to comedy or music, stretching, restorative yoga. Um, the blue screens, the laptop, the tablet, the phones, the TV, those all emit light. Research has shown that when you look at blue light waves, red light waves, green light waves, blue light waves keep your brain more alert than any other color out there, right? And so take that screen off a good hour before you go to bed and do your sleep routine, right? And get yourself into a position ready to sleep where you're feeling calm, your mind's not racing, you've addressed your thoughts, you've taken time to do the things you need to do so that when sleep comes, it finds you and you can stay asleep through the night. Sometimes there's medications that people take that will affect their ability to stay asleep. Sometimes, if you have an overactive bladder, then you're getting up to go to the bathroom and you have to deal with going back to sleep. So, hopefully, when we get to the meditation section, we can get into how you can help yourself calm down enough to get back to sleep. So, when we talk about taking care of yourself, relaxation, very simple. Don't have to have any kind of equipment, don't have to have any kind of special skills to do it. Pick a quiet place that's common, less distractions, breathe, focus on one thought, and do it as often as you need to do it. That's it, right? You can sit there, some people say, I just stand up in the hallway, and or I stand up in my office and I close my eyes and I think about whatever was the last good thing that happened to me. And I spend some time thinking about it. And while I'm thinking, I'm breathing and I just feel everything calm down. That's all you need, relaxation, deep breathing. So, why deep breathing? It's a really good way to focus on the breath going in and focus on the breath coming out. Focus on what happens to your body. Feel the air go in, feel the air come out. Feel the muscles in your body relax as you breathe more. Focus on the rhythm. It's not about holding your breath, it's just about finding your rhythm. There are some people who say, breathe in four, hold four, breathe out four. For anyone that has lung issues, you know that holding your breath can be anxiety inducing. So, this is why deep breathing has to be about your rhythm, right? For someone, it might be breathe in for seven, breathe out for four. For you, it might be breathe in for four, breathe out for seven. Find your rhythm and do it. Sit down if you're worried about getting lightheaded, sit down, lay down, and just focus on that deep breathing until you feel calm. Deep breathing is a really good way to slow down your heart rate. So a lot of times people say, just take a deep breath, just take a deep breath. And if you think that going can actually make you feel more anxious, it can. You're right, it can. So try pursed lips breathing, where you go like you're breathing in through one of those fat straws and you go, as opposed to, right? And just take a slow, intentional, deep breath like you're breathing through a fat straw, just to guide the air and limit how much you're getting in. And breathe like that until you feel your heart, you feel your body calm down. Stretching. Before and after exercise, always slow, controlled movements. Movement will help you stay focused. So sometimes when your mind starts to wander, you're focused on a movement. Either you're watching it on a YouTube screen or your physical therapist has given you a home stretching exercise program that you can do, and you've got the papers in front of you. Pay attention to it. Take your time, breathe, and go through the motions. Stretching is a way to release tension from your body. So when you're stretching out those muscles, you're actually just taking that tension and pushing it away from you. When you're done stretching, you usually feel good. Maybe a little sore if you haven't done it in a while, but you feel good. And you can take that good feeling with you for the rest of your day. Progressive relaxation. This is where I don't know if we have time today to go through this, but you can find more information about it online. So it's where you tense a certain muscle group and relax it while deep breathing. So you can start at the top of your head and work your way through to your toes, or start at your toes and work your way up through the top of your head. For some people, they say, picture a cool blue light, and you can see that blue light moving through you. So if I were to start that today, I'd say, okay, first I'd spend a minute just deep breathing. And when I get myself into that feeling of calm, then I say, okay, I'm going to tense the muscles in my face and head. With the next breath in, you tense. And then with the next breath out, you release. So it'll look like this. I'm going to breathe in and tense, release. And then you feel the tension move to your shoulders. So the next breath in, I'm going to tense my shoulders and release. And you do that all the way through your body to physically release the tension, to bring yourself a sense of calm. Mindfulness and meditation, we're going to practice today. I'm going to walk you through it. Mindfulness and meditation, it's just a way to take control of your state of mind. It encourages deep concentration, clarity, calmness, and it takes as little as 5 minutes a day. Some people say, oh, you meditate too much. You can't meditate too much, really. If you need it, take it, right? Take your time. It could be as simple as in the elevator, doing it while you're riding to your floor. For busy parents, I had one client who says, I sit in the dry bathtub and I meditate because I know once I close the door, the kids will leave me alone, and I do it there, wherever you can. Some people walk in their garden and meditate, sit at the front step and meditate. Do it wherever you can. What's the difference with mindfulness and meditation? I always get that question because people hear those key words all the time but don't know what it means. Mindfulness means to pay attention and be aware in that moment. What are you feeling? It's not why are you feeling this way? It's not how do I fix this? It is what am I feeling? It could be good emotions, it could be bad emotions. Pay attention to it, spend time with it, learn about it, understand it. And then when you're done, then you can say, okay, now I know what I'm feeling. Let's work on how I can fix this or how I can feel like this more because I like it and I want more of it. Meditation is a way to change the way that you're feeling by focusing on something, either your breathing or what we're going to do next, visualization. So I've already gone through that. Here it is, visualization. For today, we're going to use the ocean, right? Because it's something I'm sure most people have been by a body of water, whether it is lake or ocean water, but you know what that sound is like when you hear the tide coming in, you hear the tide going out. Everyone knows what that sounds like. Um, and if you don't, I'm going to play it for you because I have a video, but I'll play you the sound so that you can hear it for yourself and use that with you. So that sounds like a bunch of static, but what it is the water coming in and going out. And so I want you to focus your mind on your feelings. Take a deep breath and breathe out. This is not about holding your breath, it's about controlling your breathing and feeling calm. And as you breathe in and you breathe out, listen to my voice. We're going to wake up your senses. And we're going to do this by focusing on them one at a time. Think of your happy place, your happy space, happy person, happy event. Right now, we're going to use the ocean. If you have your own place, you go there in your mind. Close your eyes if you need to. We're at the beach. We're going to wake up our sense of sight. Take a deep breath in. What do you see? I see the sun, blue skies, no clouds. There's a pelican diving for fish. I see the pier or the jetty, whichever you choose to call it. And there are crabs crawling on it, and I can see them moving. I can see the leaves blowing in the wind. I can see the water coming in and going out. What do you see? Now we're going to wake up your sense of sound, hearing. Take a deep breath in. What do you hear? I hear the water coming in and going out. I hear the leaves rustling in the wind. I hear the pelican diving. I hear the crabs on the pier. I can hear the wind blowing by my ears. Take a deep breath in. What do you hear? What do you smell? Wake up your sense of smell. For some people, if it's lake water, it's got that funky lake smell. For other people, it's that salty ocean breeze that you get. Freshness, the green, the warmth, you can smell it, right? The air comes in and it's warm and fresh, and sometimes it's cool and crisp. What do you smell? Then we go down to our taste. Where are you? Are you eating? Are you drinking? Can you taste the warmth in the air? Can you taste the salt in the air? You know, I had a gentleman said, well, I'm at the lake with my sons. I can taste the sweat. It's like, well, not a good taste, but still a taste, right? Are you eating an ice cream? Can you taste it? What can you taste in your happy place? Wake up your sense of touch. Can you feel the sun on your skin? Can you feel the wind in your hair? Can you feel the sand between your toes? Can you feel the water on your feet? What can you feel in your happy place? And now you've woken up your sense of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Wake up your sixth sense, that intuition, that sense that you get that you know everything is just the way it's supposed to be. What is that feeling that you get when you think of everything that you've just experienced? And people say it's a sense of calm, a sense of peace, a sense of joy, and a whole slew of positive adjectives. Take that feeling with you and go on with the rest of your day. And you can get back to that whenever you need it. Now, pay attention. How many of you yawned in that experiment? How many of you felt your shoulders drop, felt yourself push back into your seat and thoroughly relax? That's something that you can use to help you return to bed. If you've woken up or you're having trouble falling asleep, you've woken up to go to the bathroom and your mind is racing and you can't calm down, you can use that. The distraction is in the breathing. and in the senses. You're so focused on the senses that you just block out all the other distraction there is. And you can take that peaceful feeling with you in the middle of the night, in the daytime, if you've come out of a hectic meeting and you're feeling a little, what's the word, discombobulated, right? And you just want to recenter, refocus your energy, you can try that. And it takes nothing, no special skills other than being able to remember. And I do it this way, right? I start with my eyes. You can start with your ears, eyes, nose, mouth, touch, right? And that should help you remember. It doesn't really matter as long as the last one that you remember is the intuition, that feeling that you get when you're finished. Take that feeling with you. And so our take home messages today, you know, change and loss and grieving and adjusting to bad news, adjusting to living with a disability, adjusting to an illness, adjusting to a terminal diagnosis. These are things that we can't really ever be prepared for. There is no amount of preparation that you can do that will help you deal with that. You deal with it in the moment. Professional social workers, psychologists, therapists that are there to help you, use it. Okay. If you don't have access to that, but you do have access to therapy that's private, use it. Often we have 24-hour counseling lines that we can call that are free in our neighborhood, in our communities. Rely on it. Talk to your friends, talk to your family members, your loved ones. If you are connected to a faith organization, talk to your faith leader, right? And get the support that you need to help you move past this. The worst thing that you can do is nothing, because nothing changes if nothing changes, right? And so get the help that you need. Invest in yourself. Stress can control your body, but you can control stress. You can control how you respond to it, and it takes time to learn. So try anything that you've heard from me today here. There's a wealth of information available online. I encourage you to get as much information as you need to help you understand what you want to do, and reach out to the professionals for help if you'd like some more information there. All right. So Sharon, do we have questions?
Yes, so there's a couple of questions. One of them, like,
Okay.
Kamara, how do you help your loved one if they don't realize that they are, feeling stressed and that they are in a downward slide? Like, how can you help them to understand that?
Well, communication first. Always, always words. So think about how you communicate with your loved ones. Not everyone is graced with having the greatest communication skills. And when stress is there, our communication skills are often the first to go out the door or the window, right? So check yourself first. How do you communicate? Are you passive? Are you aggressive? Or are you assertive? Can you communicate respectfully? Can you communicate your emotions, the way that you want to? If you hear something that you don't like, can you respect that? Right? And if the answer is no, then you might not be the best person to talk to your loved one. Maybe you need a mediator, either a counselor, a friend, supporter, loved one, whomever. But if you can't communicate well, you're not the best person to bring up that subject, because it's only going to end up going wrong. Um, so start with communication. First, you've got to be able to express yourself. When you express yourself from a point of view of empathy and respect, right? Even if you disagree with someone, it's okay, because you can say, well, I agree to disagree. And it's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. And I am glad that you can share it with me and I can understand it, right? And we can leave it at that. The empathy is where you can reach out and say, I care about what's happening to you. I care about how you're seeing this, and I want to know how this is affecting you, right? Once you can communicate what's going on, then you're going to have the information you need to better understand what exactly is happening. And when you better understand it, then you can make a decision about, what do I do with this?
Okay. Um, I'm going to ask the audience, if you've got questions, please feel free to put in the Q&A. But in the meantime, I want to share one of the points that Kamara had shared is that the Canadian Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation, we have support groups across Canada, and we are now using Zoom so we can access it online. And they're a great way, as she had demonstrated, to talk to a group of people, to share your experiences and help each other to move forward. And even with the pandemic being over for next year, we're going to continue with the hybrid model, because we see that the silver lining of COVID is that it helps to have this tool in place for those people who live in very remote areas, or they're not easy accessible areas, like you were saying that, you know, in Winnipeg, when it's minus 45 degrees outside, no one wants to go out there and people for coffee, because you can't even get your car started that way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point, Sharon. Reaching out for help, it can be in whichever way that you need it. And what we have learned from COVID is once we're able to help everyone get online, you have more supports at your fingertips at a time when you need it the most. So if you've got a busy daytime life, you know, when you do have your quiet time, maybe you're a shift worker and your quiet time is 2 o'clock in the morning before you go to bed, right? Or after you wake up to get ready to go to work, and you can access that information online. So those kind of support groups are absolutely instrumental in supporting people when they need it at the right time. So definitely take a look at what's available for you in your area.
Okay, Kamara, someone asked if you would kindly share some of those online websites with CPFF, and then that way we could post it on our website for people to access if that was possible.
Sure, but I'm sure that you have your own information because I see that you have your webinars there too.
Mhm.
So that information is there. Everything I've spoken about today, if you've taken notes, then you can go online and look it up for more information. It's readily available online. And I believe you're going to have this available, this recording available to review at a later date.
Yes.
So you're more than welcome to review it, make notes from it, and go online and look up that information. What I do encourage you to do is if you're looking for research, stick to the journals, the medical journals, the social science journals. It may seem dry to you. I enjoy reading them. There's a wealth of information there. Be very wary about people's single personal experience because that's their personal experience. And if they've had a very good or very bad experience, it may not be applicable to you. And so we don't want you to get your hopes up or to feel so downtrodden that woe unto me, life is never going to be good again. So take a look at the wealth of experience, and that's where the support groups come up. Um, Other things I talked about, like the sleep hygiene, the SMART goals, the self-care, not selfishness, the hormones, all that information is readily available. What I have done is put it together in a presentable format based on the information that I've received from my clients who say, I want more on this. These are the questions that I get asked regularly from people who are dealing with a new diagnosis, a relapse, or a terminal disease, right? And so this is why it's presented this way, because it's just the way it comes up and it's the way the conversation goes. So yeah, reach out to your supports there and see what Sharon has to offer. Um, I'd say and ask questions. And if you don't know, I will proudly support social workers everywhere. That is our job. It's our job to point you in the right direction for the resources to reach out to your friendly social worker.
Okay. Well, thank you for that message, and thank you so much for your presentation today. I know that I'm and myself and everybody on this webinar has learned so much, and that it should be available this Friday. So for those people who want to review again, please come back and do so and share it with your friends and family for them to review it as well. Because I think the message needs to get out there that it's okay to not feel okay, and recognize that. And there's some really good resources to go out there to get some help if you need it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sharon, and thank you all very much for your attention today. I wish you a good rest of your day and a really good rest of your week.
Thank you, Kamara, very much.